You are listening to the story Rebirth. I folded my arms and watched my sister destroy her own life. I have a younger sister who has resented me for decades. She always blamed me for forcing her to study the major she hated, causing her entire life to fall into tragedy. At a family party, my younger sister took a knife and stabbed me. Do you know how much suffering and humiliation she had to endure during her time at school? She screamed while I lay on the cold floor. Blood continuously flowed from the torn wound. However, my parents did not care about my dying. They just tried to hold my younger sister, comforting her. Panic. Your parents are sorry. We didn't expect you to have to endure so much. They softly coaxed. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day he applied for college. This time I calmly looked at it, only gently saying, "Your life must of course be up to you to decide." The last memory of my previous life was the gut-wrenching pain when the blade slashed deep into my stomach. I tried to crawl on the cold floor, blood spreading into a long, dark red streak. I crawled toward my parents. But even though my blood had drained, my body was cold and stiff. Their eyes never stopped on me. They only hurriedly ran to hug my younger sister, Zhao Yuqiao, who was shivering in panic. From beginning to end, I had never existed in their eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I found that I had returned to the day my younger sister applied for university. Zhao Yuqiao was uncomfortably tall and hit my hand, her eyes filled with frustration. "I'm asking you, what major should I study?" I was stunned for a while, and finally managed to realize the situation before her eyes. Seeing that I did not respond, True Nawet Ku became even more irritated. "If you don't answer, I will go tell Mom and Dad right now." I woke up with a start, quickly grabbed her neck. Zhao Yuqiao's hand, pulling it, made it stagger. Amidst its painful and dissatisfied screams, I hurriedly opened my mouth. "Don't run to tell your parents about anything." I calmed down and slowly said, "This is your life. Of course it's up to you to decide." Zhao Yuqiao's eyes lit up after hearing it. Then she glanced at me with contempt, only to finally say something that sounded good to her. She happily ran back to her parents' room, probably to show off to them. I watched her back as she left, and in my heart, coldly laughed. In this life, I would no longer roll out the red carpet under my sister's feet. I wanted to see how Zhao Yuqiao would live without me as a support. In my previous life, on the day my company was successfully listed on the stock exchange, I had died under the cold blade of my own sister. At that time, after many years of struggle, I wanted to reunite with my parents and sister to make up for the time when my family was separated. I also planned to buy a large apartment in the city center so that the whole family could live together happily and enjoy simple happiness. But I did not expect my thoughtfulness to become the fuel that burned True Nawet Ku's weak pride. My parents were both happy and nervously peeking at my sister's reaction, fearing that my halo would make her feel inferior and sad. They just focused their eyes on her, not caring about what I was thinking. So, in front of the whole family, True Nawet Ku suddenly stood up, threw the tray of food, screamed like a madman, "I don't want to live with her. Do you know how miserable I had to live just because of her?" In my astonished look, the girl picked up the fruit knife and stabbed it straight at me without hesitation. "You never understood me. I didn't want to study finance. Who forced me to choose such a difficult major? Because of that damn major, I got depressed. You think I don't know? You chose a career, arranged a job for me just so that I would live forever in your shadow, so that you would laugh at me and not be able to raise my head." Before I could react, the cold blade had penetrated deep into my stomach. The intense Pain paralyzed me, leaving me with no strength to resist. My parents just stood there, anxiously, calling to Kiao Kiao, stop. She is your sister after all. However, they did not step forward to stop her, perhaps afraid that my sister would get hurt in the chaos. Zhao Yue Kiao became more and more crazy, continuously stabbing me dozens of times, each time aiming at a vital spot. The pain was overwhelming. Darkness gradually covered my vision. In my delirium, I still vaguely heard my mother's gentle voice comforting my sister. Kiao Kiao, why didn't you tell your parents that you were so miserable? And my sister choked with tears, explaining, I don't blame her, it's just that she's too much. I couldn't bear it. That's why I did it. Okay, it's good that I know my mistake. Poor daughter. The three of them hugged each other tightly, forgetting that on the cold floor, there was also me dying. By the time they remembered, I had stopped breathing, ending my miserable and lonely life. I didn't understand where I had gone wrong. I had carefully turned each page of the career guidance book, asked each relationship to choose the most suitable major. For my sister, a major that everyone recognized as good. She had sweetly told me thank you, but why now? Does she blame me for ruining her life? I devoted myself to guiding her into my company, paid her a high salary, and took care of every step so that she wouldn't have to struggle with life. But in the end, the only thing in return was the words I forced him into depression, destroying his entire life, carrying with me the resentment and thousands of unanswered questions. I closed my eyes and left this world. The proud man had just left the room not long ago, when my mother, Mrs. Lam Tu Lan, knocked on the door with red eyes looking for me. Fan, give your sister some advice. The girl watched videos online and insisted on studying archaeology. That major is very hard. How can a weak girl like her bear it? In my previous life, after considering the pros and cons, I persuaded my sister to study finance. Ku was a playful person, and her studies were not very good. In order for her to have enough points to pass the university entrance exam, I had to grit my teeth and spend money to send her to the most private school in the red soil. The tuition fee each year was up to hundreds of millions. However, even though I tried my best to push her forward, she still studied to cope. Her mood was unstable. The whole family had to run after her to coax and soothe her. Every time my sister rebelled, my parents would turn to me and blame. Nawet Than, you are the older sister. You should pay more attention to her. We are old. We don't understand what you kids are thinking. Your sister only relies on you. Poor child, bound by that fake affection. I willingly spend my own money to hire the best tutor for her, spending all my money and effort just to get a mediocre university degree. In the end, I chose finance, a stable major, and a good job after graduation. I planned that as long as she graduated, I could put her in the company, arrange for her a comfortable position so that she could live peacefully for the rest of her life under my protection. But in return, what did I get? A blunt reproach that I had ruined her entire life. Everything I did, in her eyes, was just humiliation, a way for me to put her under my shadow. In this life, I will not make that mistake again. I let her go and let her take care of her own life. I looked at my mother and slowly said, Mom, she's grown up. We don't need to manage everything for her anymore. She hesitantly looked at Nawet Ku, as if afraid of saying something wrong that would make her unhappy. But archaeology is not good, my child. I took her hand, smiling gently. She's grown up. You should also learn to let go. Don't worry too much. Look at her. Mom and Dad don't care about anything, child, and yet you're still living well. Well, she bit her lip, embarrassedly silent. In the end, she had to give up. So I witnessed with my own eyes my sister happily filling out all her applications for the archaeology major. Just over a month later, at midnight, I received a call from my hometown. The caller was my mother. Her voice panicked. Nawet, Fan, your sister has failed all her applications. You should think of a way. Up to now, every time my sister has a problem, my parents have always been like this. Whenever there is a problem, they immediately call me back to resolve it. On the surface, they say, sisters have to help each other. But in reality, only I have to run around and worry, while they just sit idly by. If it succeeds, they will praise my sister for being smart and blessed. If it fails, the fault is of course mine. The older sister is useless, not knowing how to take care of her. Since I was young, I was left behind in my hometown, growing up with a longing for family love, being manipulated by my parents with the words that because we are family members, I should bear everything, even though I was wrongly blamed. I could only hold it in my heart and swallow it myself. But this time I just leaned back comfortably on the sofa, calmly asking, Mom, nowadays, the university entrance exam is not like before. Each person can register for up to 100 wishes. Could it be that I suddenly ran out of options? On the other end of the line, my mother's voice immediately shrilled, breathing heavily. At this hour, you still talk badly. Are you still her sister? Come back here and discuss what to do now. I laughed lightly. What else can we discuss now? Mom, the admission results have been finalized. Even if you fail, no one can save you. You don't have the ability to go through the back door with the Ministry of Education. So don't expect him to give you a special place. Well, Mom advised her to go back to school. There was silence on the other side for a long time, followed by a guy blaming meaninglessly. Finally, my mother turned to coax Nawet Coo. Why don't you go back to school for a year? Next year, we'll choose another major. I heard my sister protest loudly. I won't go back to school. Where? You two find a school for me, or I'll drop out. Then there was a soft coaxing sound, mixed with my mother's sobbing and Nawet Coo's screaming. I didn't expect that in the end my parents would really find a school for true Nawet Coo. The name sounds very impressive. High Fan Joint Commerce Academy. But in reality it's no different from a ghost school disguised as a famous school, impersonating the name of a big school to deceive students. And after studying, it won't be recognized. In my previous life, Nawet Coo had intended to apply to a similar school. At that time, I tried to dissuade her, but the result was only received ridicule. What do you know about university? You've never studied. What right do you have to teach me? Don't think that you're good at making money and that's all. You're jealous of me going to a good school, so you won't let me go to school, right? At that time, she was still young, did not understand the evils of life. I could only patiently advise her, hoping that one day she would understand my heart. Unexpectedly, what awaited me was a knife stabbed straight into her chest. In this life, I will not interfere anymore. She wanted to go to a good school. Let her be satisfied. My parents even wanted to force me to pay the tuition, but I flatly refused. They used the excuse that the company was lacking working capital. Because of this, my parents and I had a huge argument. I asked my cousin, I'm just her older sister, not her mother. Why do all her expenses fall on me? My mother just sighed. Because I'm the older sister. Shouldn't it be like this? Hearing this, I just felt tired. Being an older sister to them was a crime from the beginning. The chain forced me to sacrifice unconditionally. I resolutely hung up the phone, cutting off contact with my family. In my previous life, I had carefully bought her a tablet as a gift for entering school. She received it, but was not happy, saying I was stingy and did not buy the highest end version. In this life, I gave her nothing but my sincere wishes. I wish you can walk alone through the path of life without me protecting you. For the first time in my life, I can relax, let go of the feeling of having to shoulder everything for others. From now on, your path You must walk it yourself. On the opening day, True Nawet Ku posted an exciting status on social media. All good things are coming. The future will be bright. Below, my parents competed to comment, flattering the daughter. My good daughter has known how to study hard since she was young. Truly an excellent seedling. You're so good. You're even better than your sister. Your sister didn't pass the university entrance exam before. When I saw those lines, my heart couldn't help but drift back to the old days. Back then, from the time I was born until I took the university entrance exam, I had to study hard on my own in the poor countryside. My parents made an excuse of being busy with work and could not bring me with them, so they sent me back to the countryside for my grandparents to raise. I used to think that when my parents were no longer busy, they would take me home to reunite. But unexpectedly, when their jobs had stabilized, they gave birth to another daughter, True Nawet Ku, and brought her with them since she was young. They said they wanted another child to make up for the deprivations I had endured, but in reality, that compensation was never for me, but was only wrapped up in the complete love they had for their next child. It wasn't until I finished university that I first set foot into the house they called family. On the ivory white wall hung a warm family photo. My parents and True Nawet Ku, my younger sister, wore a pure white princess dress, a sparkling crown on her head, just like a princess in a fairy tale. That happy home was what I had been dreaming of day and night. I gritted my teeth to hold back the tears that were about to fall, and took out from my backpack the gift for my sister, a small teddy bear. I had skipped dinner for a whole month to save up enough money to buy it. That bear was when I was young. I also saw my cousin had one like this. I longed for it but did not dare to ask for it. Before going home, I stopped by the small shop at the beginning of the village to buy it, just hoping that my sister would not have the same lonely desires as I had. However, Nawet Ku unceremoniously threw the bear to the ground, covered her nose, and complained, "I have a bunch of this stuff. Who would want these cheap things? This toy is just like my sister. So poor it's ridiculous." Then she turned to my mother, her voice coquettish. "Mom, kick her out of the house." I thought my mother would scold her, but she just smiled, patted her youngest daughter's head, and gently turned to me. "Nawet Than, don't take it to heart. Cuckoo was just being a little naughty, but she had no bad intentions." I bent down to pick up the teddy bear, hugged it tightly to my chest, standing there quietly in my faded uniform that had been washed to the point of fraying. It was my most beautiful, cleanest clothes at that time. I don't know how many times later, my mother hugged my pretty, white younger sister, sighing and reproaching her. "Nawet Than, you are not close to your family. I am so sad. Look at your sister, how cute and understanding she is. You have to learn from her a lot." Gradually, under that indoctrination, I became a good child, a good older sister, the one who replaced her mother in doing all the housework, being an unpaid servant, the one who tested all the mistakes so that her younger sister wouldn't have to stumble. Every time Nawet Ku caused something, I was still the one who was scolded. How could I be the older sister and not be able to look after my younger sister? Sometimes, in my heart, I had choking questions. Why did I have to bear everything just because I was born first? Why do I have to be 14 years older than her forever? To forever sacrifice, to go first as an example, to be the one to pave the way for her. But I never dared to ask out loud, because a child who is not loved has no right to be angry, no right to complain. I quietly wiped my tears, then turned off my phone, closing it all. When Nawet Ku was in her second year of university, my mother suddenly took the initiative to contact, saying she wanted to invite me home for dinner, saying it was to make up for my losses over the years. That sudden gentleness made me wary, but in the end I still accepted. However, my heart still had some illusions about family love. Compared to my previous life, today's scene was so different. In the previous life, thanks to my support, Noet Koo was given the image of a rich young lady, was also the beauty of the finance faculty, famous in school, and had a life of luxury and freedom. But now, sitting in front of me was just a girl with a pale face. Her thick makeup still could not hide the dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was dry as withered grass. Her whole body was pitifully thin, no longer the appearance of a princess like before. She bowed her head, not bothering to talk to anyone, just focused on pressing her phone. Her eyes were empty. My parents sat by my side, constantly asking and caring, but only received Noet Koo's grumpy-ness in return, talking and asking all day long. What do you know to ask? So what if you ask? You growled and angrily left, leaving my parents sitting silently at the dining table, quietly wiping away their tears. I didn't say anything, just leisurely picked up a piece of braised fish, calmly enjoying it. It turned out that this was the first time in many years that I had eaten fish in the house. For a simple reason, my sister did not like to eat fish because of her taste. For all these years, my family's meals had never had fish. No matter if I had hinted or directly suggested, my mother pretended not to hear. Once I spent my own money to buy fish to cook. My mother frowned and stopped me. Koo did not like to eat fish. Don't let her see. She wouldn't be happy. Then she gave the fish to the neighbor, telling me not to buy it again. Today was the first time she cooked a dish I liked, and the first time she cared about my taste. But when I ate it, it was bland. It turned out that the dish I had always dreamed of was also nothing special. After dinner, my mother began to wonder about my life again. After asking a few bland, polite questions, she quickly led the conversation back to the familiar topic. True Noet Koo Noet Than. I originally didn't want to bother you with this. My mother sighed, pretending to be embarrassed. But Koo is your only sister. Now she's in trouble. Only you can save her. It turns out that Noet Koo has been skipping classes and exams constantly. The school has issued a warning for her studies. If this situation continues, she will be expelled. My parents were as worried as ants crawling on hot claws. But Noet Koo didn't care. Having long been disgusted with studying, they inquired everywhere, and finally someone told them that they just needed to go through the back door and pay a considerable amount of money to solve the problem. And the person they thought of was of course me. I had money. I had a successful career. Recalling my previous life when I missed the university entrance exam because of appendicitis, I begged my parents to give me a chance to review next year, but at that time, my mother held my hand, tears in her eyes, gently said, Noet Than, your parents are raising 2 children. The pressure is great. Koo is about to enter elementary school. Your parents still have to borrow money to buy a house near the school for her. Can you drop out of school and go to work to help the family overcome this difficult period? At that time, I saw the gentleness in my mother's eyes for the first time. I softened and agreed, even though I knew very well the family was not as poor as she said. So I threw myself into life, doing all kinds of jobs from waiter, janitor, salesman, step by step building a career. Finally, opened a small brokerage company, specializing in helping migrant workers find jobs, earning commissions to survive. When I earned money, I immediately thought of my family. I bought a house near the school for my sister, bought a car for my parents. I shouldered all the expenses of the whole family. I raised my sister as if she were my own child. I showed her the way it went, calculating every step. But in the end, what I got was a cold blade deep in my stomach. As I lay on the floor, waiting to die, I heard it complaining, "If you hadn't interfered in my life, I wouldn't have been so depressed. If I could have chosen my own life, I wouldn't have had to suffer like this. I used to think I gave her everything, she would understand and be grateful. But it turned out that in her eyes, everything was just showing off and forcing. All the years I lived for her. In the end, all that was left was resentment." Thinking of this, I looked at my mother. My voice choked up, but I still kept calm. "Mom, I'm helpless. Recently, my company has been in trouble. Its working capital has run out. I've thrown all my assets into saving the company. Now I have nothing left." I looked straight at her. My eyes filled with tears. "Up to this moment, I've never asked you for anything, but this time, can you help me?" My mother lowered her eyes, silently avoiding my gaze. Me. In the end, the backdoor tuition fee was still paid, but not by me. My parents exhausted all their savings, trying to keep Noette in school, only to exchange for a paper notifying her to continue studying. But even though this time she chose archaeology herself, she still could not do better. There were still days of skipping classes, still absent exams. Without reason, her classmates became increasingly distant, and she was left to live quietly alone in the dormitory. Her roommates whispered behind her back, and the teachers didn't bother to remind her anymore. Noette said she wanted to drop out of school, but my parents refused, and continued to grit their teeth and pay more bribes, trying to keep her in school. Finally, my sister successfully brought home a university degree and a graduation certificate, but behind that were countless bribes and bitter compromises from my parents. After graduated, my parents hurriedly asked someone to find a stable job for my sister. Everything seemed ready, just waiting. Passed the academic verification round. Hearing the news, I just smiled faintly. With a diploma from a ghost school, could she pass the test? If in the end, it was all in vain, would those who used to look down on me collapse like I did? Ms. Q had been working for a month. My parents were happily showing off to their relatives and neighbors. My youngest daughter was very talented. She was young but had already entered a big company. Even the neighbors were amazed. She would certainly be successful in the future. But the joy did not last long when the news came. Noette was fired. The HR department searched the records on the system, but could not find the name of the school that her sister had declared. Finally, they discovered that it was just a fake school, and had even been warned of fraudulent admissions. My mother did not believe it, and rushed to the company to make a big fuss. "My daughter has been studying for 4 years. How could it be fake? There must be someone who harmed her. You guys want to take away her position, right?" She tried to protect her weak youngest daughter, hoping to save her last bit of face. But Noette suddenly rushed out from the crowd and shouted, "Isn't mother embarrassed enough? Being fired is nothing big." In her previous life, at this time, my sister graduated from a prestigious public school and came to work under me, with a high salary and easy work, living a leisurely life under my protection. But now, after 4 wasted years, Noette is still just a high school student disguised as a student, a scholar with a fake degree. Everything has collapsed. Her reputation has also disappeared. Even if my parents burned money to buy a position for her, no one would accept it. Having said that, he ran out with his face in his hands, leaving my mother lost, standing rooted to the spot, like a child who had made a mistake. This incident was quickly recorded, posted on social media, and became a small joke. In the city, netizens never knew how to hold back. They cursed my mother badly, tearing apart her last bit of dignity. Before, whenever something happened, the first person they thought of was me, but this time they were unusually silent. That surprised me. One morning, as usual, I just entered the company and realized that the atmosphere was unusual. The employees who saw me immediately bowed their heads to avoid me, their eyes avoiding strangely. Before I could ask, they quickly dispersed like birds afraid of a gun. I was confused when the secretary walked over, her face trembling with embarrassment, handing me the phone. Director True, is this your sister? On the screen, True, Noette Q's pale face was crying, answering each question from the live stream viewers. I had tried hard to study for 4 years, but when I went to work, I discovered that my degree was fake. That shock almost made me collapse. My mother was so worried that she came to the company to argue. This school was chosen for me by my sister. She is a big businesswoman with many connections. We completely trust her. Perhaps she doesn't know that it is a poor quality school. Well, I don't blame her. Later on, Noette Q cried even more. Her weak and pitiful appearance made viewers soften up in the blink of an eye. Countless angry comments appeared. What kind of sister is so cruel? Knowing that the school is fake, she intentionally let her sister study to ruin her sister's life. Hypocritical, vicious, truly a sinister person disguised as an angel. 2. Disgusting. Is there anyone who would accept to teach this sister? I paid. Then each line of my company's address, phone number, personal information, even my picture were dragged out, flooding all the forums. They came to the company gate to throw trash, place wreaths, and curse me without mercy. My phone number was accidentally revealed by my sister in the middle of the live stream. She tearfully told fans not to bother me but didn't bother to cover the number. I was drowned in messages of curses. Some even photoshopped my photo into a black and white portrait. But just as public opinion was focusing on criticizing me, someone dug up Noette Q's report card. Her results were poor. She was absent from school continuously, and she was absent from exams every time. They began to question her. Her sister forced her to study archaeology, but she refused to take exams, and she refused to study. Whose fault was this? Just as public opinion was about to change direction, my parents suddenly appeared in a live stream, choking up. It's our fault for Noette Than not taking good care of her since she was young, but no matter how we made up for it, she wouldn't forgive. It must be because she hated us that she took revenge by ruining Q's life. With just one sentence, the image of my evil sister was nailed down and couldn't be removed. People no longer cared about the report card. All the spears were pointed at me. The rumors spread more and more. The partners cancelled the contract. The investors withdrew the capital. My company was in trouble. Everyone was in panic. Watching the three of them act out on live broadcast, I suddenly remembered when Noette Q was only 5 years old. At that time, the younger sister looked at me, the abandoned older sister, with eyes of hatred. Even though I had worked and contributed money for living expenses, she still considered me as the one who took up her place in her life. She deliberately fell down the stairs and hugged my mother's leg, crying. I don't blame her. The acting was clumsy, but my mother still believed it. She screamed and pointed at me. You're so young and yet so cruel that you dare to harm your own sister. Before I could defend myself, they hugged Noette Q and rushed her to the hospital. That whole day, I was alone in the living room, crying until I had no more tears. It wasn't until late at night that they returned. Noette Q wore a new dress, holding a pile of expensive toys, happily ran to me, holding out a crumpled candy. Sister, I forgive you. Don't be angry anymore. Before I could say anything, tears welled up. My mother saw it and got angry. Are you mute? I said, talking to you but you didn't hear. My father pulled me out to the hallway, telling Noette Than, your sister is still young. doesn't understand. Don't take it to heart. Your parents are also at fault, but you are your older sister. You have to be more tolerant. I bit my lip and asked, so, do you know that I didn't push her, right? My father sighed and didn't answer. Nawet. Fan, don't be stubborn, be a little good, suffer a little. It's okay, your parents won't hurt you. In the end, I still bowed my head and apologized to my mother, accepting all the unnamed grievances. I tried to be a good child, but in return, it was only forgetfulness and indifference. True, Nawetku always had her parents to protect her, but if I didn't protect myself, no one could save her. In my previous life, I died because of my own weakness. In this life I can't die again. Public opinion was increasingly fierce. My company was continuously attacked. Many employees, out of fear of being implicated, submitted their resignations. To stabilize people's hearts, I gave all employees a full week's leave with pay. I myself began to collect evidence. The more silent I was, the more arrogant she acted. She frantically built up the image of a victim, used pity to attract fans, and even accepted advertisements to earn a lot of money. Labels like evil sister, 3 of us a patient, unscrupulous sister was stuck on me. The more people hated me, the easier it was for her to earn money. She even started live streaming to sell products. One broadcast earned hundreds of millions. Just as I was about to release evidence to fight back, my mother called. Nawet Than, I'm sorry, Mom. I coldly hung up, not letting her finish her sentence. I had died once. I would not let myself be soft-hearted again. The day Nawet Q's livestream sales reached its peak, I had someone post a statement on Hot Search. The truth was forgotten. Who was the betrayed? The statement details every stage of my life, from being an abandoned child, forced to drop out of school, raising a family alone, to being blamed online by her younger sister. Attached are a series of transfer statements, tuition payment documents, statements from acquaintances. In the end, I only wrote a short line. Than Hoa Company has completed restructuring and welcomed its partners back. Public opinion has turned around. All the lies and acts have turned into knife stabbing back at Nawet Ku. All the bad labels people have put on me, now return them all to my sister. I asked a lawyer to draft a lawsuit against Nawet Ku for defamation, requesting compensation for losses. Social media accounts competed to report the news, and the brands that had sponsored her also simultaneously terminated their cooperation. It faced a huge compensation. I didn't want to get involved, handed the entire case over to the lawyer, and I went on a survey trip, preparing to open a new branch. I knew for sure that the true family wouldn't let it go, so I deliberately stayed outside the city for more than a month, ignoring their search. When I returned, I just got out of the car and saw my mother, Mrs. Lam Tulan, standing, waiting under the company building. She had aged a lot. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. Her face was tired, and she had lost all her old demeanor. Nawet Than, she called my name, her voice trembling. Cuckoo is depressed. She has already received enough punishment. Can you forgive her? I calmly asked back. Hasn't she been depressed for a long time? Now what does it have to do with me? My mother lowered her voice and pleaded. As long as you withdraw the lawsuit, he will have a chance to start his life over. I did not answer immediately, but looked straight into her eyes. For the first time asking the question, I've kept it a secret for so many years. Mom, have you ever loved me? Dad was stunned, his lips trembling. Love? Why not love? What mother doesn't love your child? I smiled faintly. So why did you give me up in the countryside that year, leaving me to grow up in need, while my mother took Cuckoo with her to raise her self and take care of her with her own hands. When my mother said she had no money, no time, why did she still give birth to another child and take her everywhere? Why did she have money to buy a house, buy a car, send her to a good school? But my child had nothing. My mother bowed her head and did not answer, only silently shedding tears. She told that when she gave birth to me, because of the economic pressure that was too great, she had to leave me in the countryside. And later when she came to visit me, she found me cold and distant. So she became afraid and did not dare to get close. When she had cuckoo, she poured all her love into her to make up for the regrets of the past. She told the story while laughing foolishly as if she was putting herself to sleep. I held back my tears, coldly said, "So you abandoned me, forced me to raise my younger sibling, forced me to shoulder everything. In the end, my younger sibling joined forces to kill me. Is this your love?" My mother panicked and denied it. "It's not like that, Nawet Than. It's not like that. I didn't mean it." But the more she spoke, the more ridiculous I felt. I slipped past her, walked into the company. I had shed my last tear for them a long time ago. My lawyer worked very quickly. Not long after, True Nawet Koo was sentenced by the court for defamation, fabrication, seriously damaging the honor and property of others. She was officially arrested. Not long after, the police contacted me, saying she wanted to see me one last time before being detained to release her. Curse. I thought for a long time, and finally agreed. When I entered the meeting room, Zhao Yuqiao's eyes were empty and lifeless. But as soon as she saw me, her eyes immediately lit up, as if she had encountered a savior in despair. She rushed to the glass between the two of them, hitting hard. "Sister, sister, I was wrong. I know my mistake. Can you save me? Sister, save me." I looked at her struggling and panicking appearance, and my heart couldn't still hate. Only a cold emptiness remains. I once devoted myself to raising her, to protecting her, to guiding her, but in the end, she did not hesitate to take a knife and stab me, leaving me to die slowly on the cold floor. The person who truly treated her well, she never saw. Could I still help her again? Seeing me silent, she panicked and continued to scream, "Sister, if I had you, I would have a college degree, a stable job. Why did you abandon me this time?" I looked straight into her eyes. No longer a bit soft-hearted. "You still want me to help you, so that you can stab me a few more times?" Nawet Koo frantically denied. "No, I didn't want to kill you. At that time, I just lost control for a moment. I never resented you." I laughed, but my voice was cold. "Don't resent me. Then you blame me for spending money to hire a tutor for you. Blame me for buying you a house. Blame me for giving you a chance to start your life over. Blame me for protecting you for so many years. You lived under my protection, enjoying everything I gave you. You still have the face to blame me." Nawet Koo opened her mouth to refute, but in the end just stuttered. "It's just that you're too good, living in your glory. I'm very miserable. My parents always compare me to you. I can't stand it." I nodded, my voice still calm. "You don't want to live under my shadow. So why don't you step out of it yourself? You may not need my help. You can rise up on your own. But you choose to enjoy and then turn around and stab me in the back. You're not a weak person. You're just greedy." I asked coldly. "In this life, I withdrew from your life very early. You chose your own path. What do you feel?" Nawet Koo was silent for a moment. Tears silently flowed down. "I was wrong. Sister, can you give me another chance? I will repay you. Save me." I just stood up and said gently, "I don't know how to regret. I just regret that after that, no one will clear the way for you anymore." I walked out of the meeting room. Behind me was the crazy screams of Nawet Koo echoing throughout the hallway. Then I heard an acquaintance recount True, Nwetku was released not long ago. Then, her spirit completely collapsed. She often mumbled to herself, "It's not like that, it's not like that." Sometimes, when she had a fit, she even rushed at others, beat, and cursed for no reason. The neighbors were terrified, continuously writing complaints. My parents had no choice but to sell the house in the city and take her back to the countryside. But the tragedy had not stopped. Not long after, I received the news that she had died. The person who called was my mother, choking on the phone. Since returning to the countryside, she has been saying sorry all day, apologizing for letting her do it again. Then one day, he stabbed himself with a knife. Dozen times, and we couldn't stop him. Her voice choked up, as if she couldn't continue speaking. I just calmly asked, "What happened next?" She sobbed, "Now, you're the only child left for us." I replied, my voice calm as if we were talking to strangers. "I know, when your parents reach retirement age, according to the law, you will provide living expenses." "No, it's not for money," my mother hurriedly said. "We just want to apologize to you. If you lack anything, we will try to make up for it." I chuckled lightly. That year when I had no money to buy clothes, no money to eat, even had to save every penny to buy sanitary napkins. Why didn't they reach out, now that I don't need them anymore? They came to me, apologizing, like a discounted item. I coldly ended the call. Perhaps the teenage Nwet Than needed her parents' help. But the current me, the person standing on a pile of countless assets, doesn't need you anymore. When I was in trouble, you were nowhere to be seen. Now that I'm successful, you cling to me. It's ridiculous. If you really feel guilty, don't ever contact me anymore. Without true Nwetku, without the shadow of the family, my company quickly stabilized, and even developed rapidly. Than Hoa officially went public and became one of the unicorns of the industry. I did not stop there but also established many charity funds, supporting children who were struggling to support an entire family like me. In the past, people called me a compassionate businesswoman, a symbol of willpower and compassion. Magazines and television stations competed to interview me. Once a reporter asked me, "Sister, True, do you have any advice for today's young generation?" I just smiled and replied, I didn't dare to give advice, but I had a painful lesson to share. Before saving others, learn how to save yourself. Love. Don't expect others to give it. The interview ended. I was about to leave when a little girl timidly blocked my way. "Sister True, I want to ask something." I looked at her gently. Jia, who kept saying, "My parents always told me that the eldest sister must take responsibility, must sacrifice for the youngest. But my family is not poor. My parents live very well off, only I have nothing. I don't want to help them anymore. Is that too selfish of me?" I sighed softly and answered seriously, "Raising the youngest sibling is not your responsibility but your parents' responsibility. Don't try to shoulder the world because others will only see it as your duty. You think you will be appreciated, but in the end you will only receive resentment. First you are yourself, then someone else's sister." I looked deeply into her eyes and gently continued, "If someone calls you selfish, it's just because they can't take advantage of you anymore. Don't mind those words, or you will be chained for the rest of your life." The little girl burst into tears, bowed her head to thank her, and then shyly left. I stood silently in the sunset, suddenly feeling my heart lightened. In this life, I am no longer a puppet in the hands of others. I live for myself. I don't need anyone to redeem me because I have saved myself. That's it. The journey ahead is still very long and there are many stories waiting for us to discover. See you in the next video. Subscribe to the Diet Jang audio channel so you don't miss it.